It's another brand new business day. Good morning and welcome to today's edition of Business Morning on Channels Television. I'm Harriet Agbenyi. A warm welcome to our viewers here and around the world. What's happening now and the big story we're tracking is the National Bureau of Statistics' launch of a revised methodology for computing unemployment data. Now, it's the first unemployment data ever to be released. Before now, government and the private sector have relied on such data from the World Bank, from United Nations Development Programme and the International Labour Organization. Well, the revised estimates will give clearer data of the number of unemployed Nigerians, how the government measures unemployment, that is, who is counted as employed or unemployed. We're tracking that for you on the show. Also, another breaking news story at this time. The National Bureau of Statistics has released the April inflation data, showing a 0.2% increase to 8.7%. Financial derivatives company had predicted a 0.14% jump in headline inflation to about 8.64%. But looking closely at it, this is a fifth consecutive month of a faster increase in the headline index to reach the highest inflation rate recorded for the year. Well, the faster pace of the headline index was as a result of increases in most divisions which contribute to the headline index, the exception of slower increases in recreation, culture and communications divisions. The food prices, the food sub-index increased at a marginally faster pace in April. The food index rose by 9.5%, up from 9.4% in March as a result of increases in most of the groups that yield the increase, the index, that is. The pace of increases was weighed upon by a slower increase in meat, fish and dairy products. In the meantime, the Senate on Wednesday confirmed the appointment of Munir Gwarzo as Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. The confirmation by unanimous voice vote followed consideration of the screening report of the Senate Committee on Capital Markets. Now, let's take a look at some more news headlines at this time. And a federal high court has ordered the freezing of accounts belonging to Benue and Plateau states in 4 commercial banks over their alleged refusal to release about 1.6 billion naira for the payment of wages and allowances of court workers in the states, in spite of a January 13, 2014 judgment given in favor of the workers. While the persistent fuel scarcity across the country could be worsened by petrol stations who hoard or divert the product, the Department of Petroleum Resources has warned such stations involved in this practice to stop or be punished. Officials of the agency who inspected some petrol stations around Lagos metropolis on Wednesday to check for offenders say these offenders could be sanctioned at the end of the exercise. In the meantime, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, has asked members not to politicize the long-awaited petroleum industry bill as the House commenced the clause-by-clause consideration of the bill. The Deputy Speaker gave the charge when some members raised objections to some sections of the bill, including Section 7, which empowers the Minister of Petroleum Resources with the right of preemption of all petroleum and petroleum products obtained, marketed or otherwise dealt with under any license, or lease granted in the event of a state of national emergency or war. Well, the markets got a breather at the end of midweek session at the interbank market. Liquidity condition continued to tighten in the banking system as the market anticipates OMO bills worth 81 billion naira, which is expected to mature today. Average core money rose about 44 basis points to 14.52%. Taking a look at overnight money, overnight rate also rose about 92 basis points. According to analysis report from Cordros Capital, the naira gained about 63 basis points against the US dollar to close at 197 naira 80 kobo, but it declined against the British pound and the euro by about 37 and 101 basis points to close at 310 naira 45 kobo and 224 naira 9 kobo respectively. At the Treasury's bill market now, beg your pardon, Prevalent sell-offs in the market led to a 35 basis points expansion and average yield to about 13.18% as profit-taking continued. 76% of the traded bills recorded yield increases, with a 387 basis points rise in the 8-day to maturity bill being the highest, and 9% recorded yield contractions, with a decline on the 64 DTM notes being the most, which is about 41 basis points, while 15% maintained the same yield. Quickly now, over at the bonds market, trading was bullish as widespread demand led to an 8 basis points drop in average yield to 14.55%. All 10 bonds within the August 2016 to March 2024 maturity recorded higher demand, including the July 2034 paper. On the other hand, bonds within the November 2028 to November 2029 band recorded yield expansions, while the July 2030 bond yield was unchanged. And let's review the equities market now. Investors heaved a sigh of relief as the market turned north, halting 7 days of consecutive losses. Now, gains recorded by banking stocks Zenith Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank and FBN Holdings instigated the 0.27% increase in the all-share index. The index closed at 34,208.30. A market capitalization also increased by 31.52 billion naira to close at 11.62 trillion naira, an equivalent of $58.76 billion. Stock analyst and head enterprise capital Rotimi Fakaijo joins me now to take a look at how trading fared at the exchange on Wednesday. Good morning, Rotimi, and thank you so much for joining me on the program.
Good morning, Harry.
Well, Rotimi, could you just give us a sense of what drove market sentiment on Wednesday?
Well, for yesterday, on Wednesday, the market was able to break the continuous negative trend in the market, and the resilience of the market was actually put to test yesterday. And I think the market actually passed that test, because for the last 7 days, we've had a continuous negative close for the market. But eventually yesterday, we had 0.27%, at least for the market to close in the positive region. And also, the market was able to at least do well in the majority of the sectors. And most of the sectors actually, the sectoral indices actually closed positive yesterday. And I think in terms of value, we saw an improvement also. We saw transactions well above 3 billion being traded yesterday. And I think with me, this goes on to show that investors really have nothing to fear, because there is a whole lot of cautious trading going on at the market right now, preceding the handover day. And I think what is really happening right now is quite understandable.
So do you think this positive turn that we've seen from Wednesday will be sustained till the end of the week? We have today and tomorrow, of course.
Well, it could be here and there, because yesterday we just needed that break, that positive break yesterday, and we actually got it. So there's the tendency that the banking sector stocks might just be able to upkeep the trend that happened yesterday. We may be able to see more gains in the like of ETI, the like of Zenith Bank, and also UBA, and FBN Holdings as well. So if that happens today, and we do not see the corresponding decrease in the corresponding negative performance coming from the consumer goods and industrial goods, then definitely the positive trend today will continue.
Yeah, but then let's take a closer look at some other stocks, that usually drive the market. Talking about the oil and gas index now, it recorded marginal declines. Is this still connected with what we're seeing with regards the oil prices, the scarcity we're also seeing on the roads as well?
Yes, I think with what is happening, it has a whole lot to do with the trend of the economy right now, whereby there is scarcity in the availability of petroleum products, which drive the oil and gas sector. And I think with this trend continue, investors are definitely going to be more cautious about it. We've seen Fortin Oil actually being on that losing spree for quite a while now. Though it just lost about 1 naira yesterday, we will hope that it's able to stabilize at this level. But I think with this continuous scarcity of petroleum products, it definitely would not imply well for the stocks in that particular in the oil and gas sector.
Well, Rotimi, I know you already mentioned it, talking about, inching closer to inauguration dates, May 29, less about 15 days to inauguration now. And as this draws closer, do you think the market optimism will resurface? I know you already mentioned it, but could you talk a little more about it?
Yes, I think with the inauguration drawing very close, Nigerians have a lot of belief that at least things are definitely going to be better. But we need to know the extent to which and how quickly that will be. It's already been said that the expectation should not be too high, and we shouldn't expect so much in a very short time from the incoming government. But be that as it may, I believe that the equity market is definitely going to track better than what we have been seeing. And I want to believe equally well that very close to inauguration, we are still going to see a rally, at least even if it's based on sentiment. By the time it begins to get clear, the composition of the cabinet, of the incoming government, and how their policy drive is going to be, we're going to definitely see a lot of this. So I am expecting that there will be a rally prior to handover date, and also thereafter we begin to see things getting clearer.
Well, thank you so much, Rotimi, for your perspectives at this time.
Thank you.
Well, let's quickly run through those numbers to get a feel of where the market's going to be taking off from today. The all-share index closed 0.27% in positive territory, halting 7 consecutive days of losses recorded at the market. And just like Rotimi actually pointed out, the banking index led the day's gains. The index appreciated about 1.26% on the back of gains recorded by Zenith Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, and FBN Holdings. The consumer and industrial goods indices followed with 0.30 and 0.07% gains, respectively. On the flip side, the insurance index recorded the worst performance with a 1.14% drop. The oil and gas index declined marginally by 0.08%. The market breadth remained negative as 20 gainers and 27 laggards were recorded. Well, the big story for the day, the official launch of the revised methodology of computing unemployment data by the National Bureau of Statistics in Abuja, the nation's capital. The Statistician General of the Federation, Dr. Yemi Kale, joins me in a moment to talk more about this data. Please stay with us.